On the day the prince came to choose a bride, they told her she didn't belong in the palace and sent her to the stream to fetch water, while others danced and shook their waists to charm royalty. But fate had other plans, because right there at the river, she had an encounter that changed her life forever. But Kamsi was already awake, dragging her tired feet across the compound with a rusty iron bucket in one hand and a ragged broom in the other. Her eyes were heavy. Her stomach rumbled, her knees wobbled, but she dared not rest. If Madame Vero woke up and found even one dead leaf on the veranda, Kamsi knew what would follow. Screaming, name-calling, a slap, if not two. The sky was still dark, the wind cold against her bare arms. She bent low, scrubbing the veranda floor with water fetched from the stream, whispering to herself like a prayer. Let today pass. Let today pass in peace. But peace was a stranger in this house. Just as she was wringing out the rag, she heard the familiar loud voice boom from inside. Useless girl, you're still there? Who will wash the toilet? Who will warm the water? Are you waiting for your ancestors to come and help you? Kamsi flinched, quickly picked the bucket, and dashed to the backyard. Before the sun could fully rise, she had already fetched water from the stream, swept the compound, washed the dishes, plucked scent leaves from the garden, and prepared firewood for the kitchen. And all this before eating anything. She never used to live like this. Once upon a time, there was love in this house. Her mother, Adiez, had been the jewel of the village, soft voice, bright laugh, gentle hands. Every corner of the house once smelled of her soup, her perfume, her joy. Kamsi remembered her mother's embrace. Warm, full, safe. But all that was taken from her before she was even old enough to understand death. When Adeze died, something inside Chief Okuru broke. The once proud, confident man became an empty shell. He would sit under the mango tree for hours, staring into nothing. He no longer called Kamsi his angel. He no longer kissed her forehead or danced with her in the living room. He became quiet. Too quiet. Some days, Kamsi would stand at the door and just watch him chew his stick and blink at the sky like he was waiting for a ghost to appear. He stopped talking. He stopped laughing. He just existed. The villagers began to whisper, "This little girl, she's always roaming like a stray goat. Where's her father? He needs to remarry. He can't even boil water." Kamsi became the girl who walked alone, who played alone, who ate cold food and cried at night. Eventually, the kinsmen gathered under the mango tree and said, "Chief, you are still a young man. This child cannot raise herself. Marry, she needs a mother before it's too late." So Vero came. At first, she was kind. Too kind. She brought Kamsi new dresses, combed her hair, called her sweetheart and my daughter. She even carried her on her lap while feeding her rice and stew with a spoon. Kamsi's heart swelled. Maybe this is what love feels like again, she thought. Maybe this pain is finally over. She boasted to her friends in the village, "My new mummy is better than my old mummy. She says she loves me." But that happiness was short-lived, because everything changed the day Vero gave birth to her own daughter, a fair-skinned, plump little girl named Oma. That was when the transformation began. First, the pet names stopped. Then the smiles reduced. Then the little scoldings began. "Kamsi, you didn't wash that plate well. Kamsi, you're walking like a goat. Kamsi, are you deaf?" Then suddenly, like a switch flipped, the kindness disappeared altogether. Now, she was waking Kamsi every morning with thunderous shouts. "Wake up, you this bad luck. Who will sweep this place? You think you're here to be pampered like my child? The beatings started, the insults doubled, and Chief Okuru, he remained in his silence. Kamzi would cry sometimes, sitting behind the compound, scrubbing her bruised knees. She once tried to tell him. One evening, she sat beside him while he peeled an orange under the tree. "Papa, Mummy Vero beats me. A lot." But he didn't even turn to look at her. He just chewed slowly and said, "You should be more respectful." That was the day Kamzi stopped talking. From then on, the house became a battlefield where she was the only soldier fighting without weapons. By the time she was 10, she was going to the stream alone, trekking deep into the forest for firewood and clearing other people's farms just to get favor from her stepmother. Oma? She stayed indoors, fanned by a rechargeable fan, her feet never touching sand. One day, Kamzi begged to go back to school. "Please, Mummy Vero. Even if it's part-time school, I will still do my chores." Vero laughed so hard she almost fell off her chair. "School? For what? Who will pay? You? You're wasting school fees. Sit down in this house. You're the first daughter. Let your younger sister go to school. She's the one with a future." Again, Chief Okuru said nothing. He just sat outside, chewing stick, as if his ears had retired. That was when Kamzi learned something important. "They call me bad luck. I might as well act like it. No talking. Just endure." So she endured, but nature had its plans. As the years passed, Kamzi grew. Her beauty was the quiet type, the kind that didn't need makeup or loud clothes. Her skin glowed despite the sun, her eyes sparkled despite the tears. Her smile, when she dared to, could melt stones. Men noticed. Suitors came. From the next village. From the city. From abroad. But before they could even speak to Chief Okuru, Madame Vero would intercept them. She would sit them down with a concerned face and whisper lies. "She's not normal. Sometimes she stares at the wall for hours. She still wets the bed. Her mother was a marine spirit. Maybe she has it too. But my daughter Oma, she's fresh, she's trained, she's clean." The men would disappear. Kamzi would watch from the kitchen window. Not cry. Not speak. Just breathe. Her heart would sink every time she saw the visitors leave with confused faces and never return. "Maybe I'll die in this village," she thought. "Maybe that's just my destiny to fetch water and wash plates forever." Yet, even in that pain, she never hated her sister. She never hated her stepmother. She never even hated her father. She just carried her bucket every morning, swept the compound, washed the clothes, cooked the meals, fetched the firewood, and waited. Not for a prince, not for a miracle, just for the next day to pass. It was a burning hot afternoon in Umudik. The dust was high. The leaves on the trees didn't even bother to rustle. It was that kind of heat that made people whisper instead of shout. Kamzi balanced her yellow jerry can on her head, beads of sweat rolling down her temple. Her feet were dusty. Her wrapper was tied tight over her chest. Her back was slightly bent, but her eyes were focused ahead. She had just come from the stream, alone as always. Nobody ever offered to help. Even the village boys who used to secretly admire her now looked away, not because she wasn't beautiful, but because her suffering carried the kind of weight that made people uncomfortable.